There lives inside each of us a genius, a power, capacity, an untapped potential. That possibility is seen in the shadows of our past achievements, the mists of our dreams and aspirations. So what I'm saying, or what came through me then, was that there's this huge potential inside of us, and we can catch a glimpse of that potential, not by watching an Olympic gymnast or an Olympic swimmer or someone else in the Olympics, or observing others we know who've been extremely successful, but by looking at our own past achievements. And then also thinking about those things we dream of achieving. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, if God gave you the ability to imagine it, he gave you at the self-same time the ability to achieve it. So there's that possibility that seems to be trying to come through us. And then it goes on to say, that paragraph went on to say, we tap our potential by gaining confidence from our successes. And as I understand it, it's learning to celebrate our successes. It's learning to acknowledge our successes. It's learning to accept credit for our successes. And it's not just noticing the success. This is really one of the big tricks in all this, in my view. It's understanding the quality that I used that helped me succeed. The quality I drew upon that helped me accomplish whatever it is that I accomplished. Now, I'll just pause here and say, would you say the average person sells themselves long or short? The average person tends to sell themselves long or short? Short. I agree with you. I agree with you completely. And sometimes, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, those people who have the most bravado, you know the ones I'm talking about probably now, who make the most noise, who brag the most, who drive you crazy with some of their constant upping you, are the ones who lack the most confidence. They mean that they don't act like it, but they're the ones who really lack the most true, genuine confidence. So celebrating our successes, accepting responsibility for our present. Now, I love a pogo, and I've written about pogo in some of my writings. And you remember pogo said, "This is another fine mess I got me into," right? So it's that second element there, accepting responsibility for my present. Now, by the way, if I'm a victim, and we've got this little model up here on victim and accountability, we call it the victim accountability model, and this is the victim model right here. And this is the victim model right here. This is the accountability model right here. If I say, when something doesn't go the way I wanted it to in my life, in my day, in my week, in my month, in my quarter, in my year, in my decade, in my life, something that didn't go right for me, if I say they did it to me, how do I get out of that? What's the path forward for me if they did it to me, whoever they are? My parents or my boss or the society as a whole or whoever it was. What's my path forward if they did it to me? Well, the answer is I've got to wait for them, right, to bail me out, to come and save me, to come and fix me, or however is the right way of expressing that. On the other hand, if I say, like Pogo, this is another fine mess I got me into, who do I have to wait for to get me out? Well, the answer is no one, right? No one. If I got me into it, I can get me out of it. It may take, I'll have to probably change some of the ways I've been operating. I'll have to approach things differently, but I can get me out of it. That's really basically what this model says. I'll come to the last point in that paragraph in just a minute. But this paragraph says that when you're in a situation, this is a success situation, whether it's a success or failure, if you deny that you had any part in it, not my fault, you just can't find good people anymore. Not my fault, the office didn't set it up right. Not my fault, I wasn't dispatched correctly. Not my fault, the customer didn't tell us what they wanted. If they would just figure out what, you're with me there. So I deny it, I'm a victim. I get to, right, blame others. And by the way, what happened to my learning in this scenario? Of course, the answer is zero. You take it the other direction. Over here, self-assessment. What did I do? What could I have done differently? Here I am without the right tools. Here I am not prepared. Here I am running all over town when I could go one direction, or whatever it is. That's my self-assessment. What could I have done differently there? So now I'm holding myself accountable. I accept some responsibility, and shoot, it doesn't. Well, this learn should really be down here. Now, these are the two really key points. In this scenario, denial, victim, blame, no learning, a similar situation comes up. Am I prepared? Well, of course not. I have zero preparation because I didn't learn. On the other hand, through healthy self-assessment, holding myself accountable, accepting some responsibility, a similar situation comes up. And what do I say? Oh, I can handle this. Yeah, I can handle this. I don't need anybody to get me out. Now I'm prepared because I've learned, and that learn really should have been down here, versus the self-doubt. That's the power of accepting accountability for my present. And then the last one is committing to my goals, committing to goals. I've coached not hundreds, thousands, at least, I don't know, 10,000, 20,000, a lot of people, individuals, individual coaching on setting goals. And there's some people here tonight who've known me a long time, and they'll say some things about this in a minute. And I've earned the right to say that most people have a difficult time setting goals. They just do. And so they want to say, I'll try, and I hope, and I'd like to. And the first thing that we want to do is talk about they have to be realistic. And understand that every significant achievement in human history was first thought to be what? Impossible. Impossible. Every significant achievement in human history, and you check it out, was first thought to be impossible. So I believe that goals should be something that we are willing to commit to and something that we can imagine achieving. And when you engage around that goal, if you imagine failure, that's too high for you, right? It's just too high for you right now. Make it just as high as you can possibly imagine it. Achieve something, then you can set a little higher. I have a real resistance around letting my guideline be realistic if I'm setting goals. I think our goals should be stretchingly believable. Stretchingly believable. To whom? To you. Not to me. I don't need to believe it. You need to believe it. Believe me. By the way, I'll have an easier time believing your goal for you than you'll have sometimes believing your goal for you. That's why we need good, strong, hardy support people in our lives, right? That's why the best marriage is made up of good, hardy support people who believe more in you than you believe in yourself. My wife and I celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary in June, and I've been very fortunate to have, for 50 years, that kind of a companion who has always been able to believe more for me, or if I was doubting, to believe more for me than I could believe for myself. So the last part is, as I already said, committing to our goals. Now, having said all that, and I just am so disappointed you don't have it to read, but I want you to jot on your 3x5 card the name or initials of someone in your life or world who has more potential than they're realizing. So we're back to the first part of the paragraph, right? There lives inside each of us a genius, a power, capacity, an untapped potential. I want you to jot down the initials of someone in your world. It could be one of your siblings, it could be your spouse, it could be a co-worker, it could be your boss, it could be an ex-boss, it could be an ex-co-worker. But I want you to jot down their name or initials. Please have someone specific. That thing is still not working, huh? We're going to give you a different pin. Those things are useless. You got one? Thanks.
I don't know how long it'll last, but
Try that
it
one,
worked.
too. Now, as soon as you have the person's name or initials jotted down, please stand up. I'm not going to ask you for their name. I am going to ask you if a couple of you would volunteer their relationship. Joe, would you mind telling me the relationship?
Yes. Just kidding. My wife.
Okay, thank you. We're still waiting for Ross. Would you mind telling me the relationship?
Coworker.
Coworker? Great. Brian, would you mind telling me?
Younger brother.
Younger brother, good. Kurt?
Coworker.
Coworker? Kyle?
Friend.
Friend? Okay. Thanks. Be seated, folks. Thank you very much. Now I want you to jot down what is, in your opinion, this is very open-ended. I'm not going to guide you on this. So it's very open-ended. I want you to jot down what it is, in your opinion, that's holding that person back. You have an opinion about that. I know you do. So I want you to jot it down, just a word or two about it. What's holding them back, in your opinion? Kurt, I apologize. That's crazy pins. For as long as it works, huh? All right, so everybody have something jotted down? Anybody get blocked on that? I don't know. None of that? Okay. So who'd be willing to share with us what you jotted down? What's blocking them? Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, my friend about a year and a half ago was fired from his dream job, and so I'd say his past failures are holding him back. So.
Thank you for giving it. You gave me a little more information there than I would have required or that I would have asked for, and it's so helpful. Thank you for